Hey there, my name's Eamon Barham. I'm from Flik Dining at Merck Wilson, but today you're joining me at home. I'm going to show you how to make a dark chocolate, avocado, and sea salt truffle, just in time for Valentine's Day or for stealing hearts any time of year. Check it out. Chocolatey and decadent. Don't you want to just make these right now? To get ready, here's what you're going to need. About 4 ounces of dark chocolate chips. About 3 ounces of freshly mashed avocado. Make sure you pick a nice ripe one. You don't want to end up with chocolate. You're also going to need about 1.5 tablespoons of brown sugar, as well as a dash or about 1/8 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I've got a little vanilla bean kicking around. You could use that also if you want. Also, if you like, you could add Bailey's or any type of liqueur instead if you want a different flavor. That's the beauty of truffles. You have all sorts of different options for what you can do. All sorts of flavorings. You could even add Earl Grey tea. Anything like that. Also here, you're going to need about 1/8 teaspoon of lemon zest. I'll show you how to do that later. You're also going to need about 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. This is a really great sea salt from the UK that I'm choosing to use today. And lastly, you're going to need about 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder. Your favorite cocoa powder is fine. The darker the better. And plus a little bit more for dusting. All right, so let's get started. All right, over low heat, I've set up a double boiler. Got my chocolate here, starting to melt. I've got a glass bowl. It's heat safe. You're welcome to use stainless steel or anything as long as it's heat safe. The main goal is that it's not directly touching the water on the bottom and that you don't get any water into the chocolate. You can already see it starting to melt. You can see the steam on the bottom. It's a nice slow way to melt your chocolate. I've also worked with a lot of pastry chefs and they have a microwave in their kitchen, and it's the only thing they use the microwave for, is for melting chocolate or melting butter. But at home, you can just set it up. You can either use your microwave, you're going to use low power setting for 20-second or 30-second increments until it's melted. Or like I said, use this double boiler. Low heat on your stove. And just make sure, don't get any water in it, and that you don't have direct contact with the boiling water on your chocolate. Keep in mind that doesn't have to be too hot to melt it. Chocolate starts melting in your mouth. That's only body temperature, so it's got a low melting point. All right, I think our chocolate's ready. I'll go ahead and just give it a stir up. It's nice and melted. See that? You heat it up too hot, just might break on you, and then it is worthless. All right, so take it nice and slow. Be a little patient. All right, let's zest the lemon. You got a couple different options here. You got a microplane. That's what you'll see a lot of people use. One of these babies. That's what I'll show you how to use. But also, if you want, you can just peel it. Like so. I'm trying not to get any of that white part. Just want to get a nice zest. You don't want to go too deep and get too much of that white pithy part. It's going to make it bitter. All right. And then you would just take and just mince up that zest that you've peeled. And get it as fine as you can, because you don't want to run into big chunks of lemon peel in your truffle. So mince it up good. And that's going to give you a really nice zest. The other option, like I said, is if you have one of these guys, which is actually invented from a carpenter's rasp, what they would use to shave down woodwork. And you're just going to take, and one mistake that people make when they use a microplane is they go both directions. Push, 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 push. What will happen is over time, it'll push these little blades down and make your microplane less effective. Notice I'm going this way because the blades are going the opposite direction. If I went that way, I'd cut the mess out of my finger. So we're going to just take and we're going to gently just kind of roll and turn all in one direction. Keep that microplane nice and sharp and the tines of that microplane effective. And then you see there, get that nice, fine zest. That's what you're looking for. All right, guys, into another bowl, we're going to add our mashed avocado, vanilla extract, our lemon zest, brown sugar, cocoa, and a pinch of salt. You can crush it up or leave it with a little bit of texture too, because that, I'm sure most of you by this point have had chocolate with sea salt in it. It gives it a great texture and a great flavor balance. And then to that, we're simply going to add our melted chocolate. As much of that goodness out of there as possible. It's a good time to have somebody around to lick that bowl, especially when you're at home. Only when you're at home. And we're just going to mix that up really good. The cool thing about avocado, you guys, is usually these truffles have cream. So this takes and gives it a nice, really good, heart-healthy, saturated animal fat versus your usual cream. And heart-healthy, saturated plant fat is what I meant to say, whereas cream would be saturated animal fat. So this is a heart-healthy, more superfood-based chocolate truffle. Mix that up to combine it really good. Get that avocado pulp as smooth as you can. Remember, we don't want chocolate. Then we're going to put that in, we're going to wrap it with plastic, put it in the fridge, and let it cool for about 20 to 30 minutes until it starts to set up. All right, now we've got our cool chocolate mixture. As you can see, it's thickened up nicely after about 20 or 30 minutes. If you have one of these guys, these small little scoops, you could use one of these at home if you got it. Otherwise, a perfect use is just a little teaspoon. I'm just going to take and get about an ounce ball, about like that. I'm just going to put it into some cocoa powder. The clincher here is you don't want it to be too much cocoa powder. Now at this point you could also take and roll this into a ball, and then what some chefs will do is they'll dip it into more melted chocolate to give it like a hard shell. You don't have to do that at home, but you can if you're a budding candy maker. Take it, dip it into a little bit more of your melted chocolate and with rubber gloves on, and kind of roll it up with some melted chocolate on it, let it cool, and it'll harden with like a hard shell, and it'll be soft in the middle. Otherwise, you just want to put just the tiniest dusting of cocoa powder. Now, this is also another place where the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want. You could, of course, use rubber gloves if you don't want to get chocolate over your hands, but I don't know who doesn't want to get chocolate on their hands. But you'll see how nice and soft, and how it just starts to melt with just the heat from my hands. So you got to work quick. Otherwise, you're just going to roll it up in your cocoa powder. Not too much, it'll get bitter. You could, at this point also, instead of cocoa powder, you could put it into pistachio crumbs. You could put it into any of your favorite type of nut, coconut, all sorts of different stuff you can use. The sky's the limit. Your imagination is the limit for what you can use as a coating for these truffles. All right? Delicious. Hey guys, thanks again for joining us today. From my family to yours, for making this dark chocolate sea salt avocado truffle. Join us for all sorts of great content on the Flik channel. Tons of wonderful tips and tricks and recipes from our family to yours. Let's see if we get the seal of approval. Yummy. High five. High five. He just wants more. Thanks again.